Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, welcome to a Storyteller Spotlight. I hope. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I missed everyone on YouTube, and I wanted to do a video, so I was trying to think of an idea for a Saturday video. And I was like, oh yeah, I used to do the Storyteller Spotlight on Saturday. So I went back to this book, and honestly, the only stuff that I've looked at so far is the Arthur Adams that we looked at together. I'm telling you, it's why I do these videos. I don't look at this stuff on my own. I just don't. And up front, these are entertainment, although they teeter on educational. I always try to just have it entertaining. The real point is just to look at some fun art, and we can kind of try to break things apart. If you learn something from it, or if you feel like you at least had a counter opinion to yours, then it's worth it. And then one other thing that I wanted to ask, a request, is I'm considering doing a new series of videos. And I got the inspiration from a music channel that I follow, Rick Beato. Probably some of the guitar heads and music freaks know his channel. But he does a series on his channel called What Makes This Song Great? And he basically really dissects like a single song. And what I thought would be fun is what makes this comic book great. So if you have any recommendations for just key issues that are just benchmark most badass single issues, what I'll do is, I mean, it'll take some work. There's going to be editing involved, and there'll be proper videos, but I thought it would be a really fun series and something that really has infinite possibilities. But yeah, what makes this comic book great? So if you have any suggestions or recommendations for a single issue that you feel just kind of changed the game or was just so perfect or great, you let me know in the comments section. All right, so let's do this. So this is that X-Men Essential number 6, recommended to me by Dan Fraga, so that I could study Arthur Adams style stuff. And there was all sorts of sweet treats in here. One being Barry Windsor Smith, kind of a lead into Weapon X, I would guess. I wasn't collecting comics at this time, but this looks very heavily done in the style that he did the Marvel Comics Presents Weapon X work in. So this is very dense work. I mean, the first thing that I'm noticing seeing it is it's a really impressive artistic feat what he did here. And to criticize the level of detail would be unfair, but some of the stuff doesn't read that clear in black and white. But it's sometimes detail is just fun to look at. And the part of the engagement process is de-encrypting, if that's even a word, what you're seeing. Because I didn't even really realize that this was 3 characters. Like when I just glanced at this right here, it just looked like a bunch of stuff in this upper panel. And then when I look closer, I'm sure in color it's much more clear, but I didn't even see these characters. Let's see if we can get this to focus. It's a weird time of day. It's early in the morning, so I'm getting a ton of sunlight. I don't know, we're trying to balance it with room light. So Barry Windsor Smith, if you go way back and look at his work, was very heavily influenced by Jack Kirby of all things. And he would be one of those guys where you could definitely say that he was actually a Kirby clone. I mean, he was trying to draw just like Jack Kirby and not doing a great job at it, honestly. It was okay, but it's like compared to what he turned into, it definitely looks like a teenager that's just, kind of figuring things out. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a criticism, just an observation. And if you see the work, you'll kind of know what I'm saying. And then, he just, over a period of like the next 3 to 6 years, just got better and better, and probably got better influences and different influences. Different influences that seem to propel his work to a level of, I don't know, stylistic realism. I mean, there's not realism in his work, but he was grounding way more things into sort of reality and then stylizing them. I think his friendship with Jeffrey Jones and Wrightson and Kaluta, he was already on this track, but, I mean, I'm not 100% sure what year he started to really evolve into maybe like more of a fantasy fine art illustrator, but when his influences got sort of more unique, I mean, he definitely just like Really, like, I mean, this looks just like like the face and how he indicates the eye sockets. It looks like a sculpture, like a Renaissance sculpture, or romantic era sculpture. So anyway, it's a little like a little tough to really crack the storytelling. I mean, I don't know really how much I could say here. So let's see what we got going on. We'll look at. So we'll ignore the cover and we'll just go to this first panel. So we've got character just covered in wires and looks like there's fluid floating around. I mean, it's important, I guess, to just go back to this page. Some real nice stuff here. And then we've got these people sort of looking on. I'm not going to name names. I'm just the important thing is to look at the actual drawing and see if we can tell what's going on and how he moves us through the page. So we've got this guy sort of like in this vat of stuff, and it looks like stuff is maybe even covering him more. Like there's things lifting and going over him, and then I guess he stands in the fluid. Assuming it's the same character. He's super hooked up. What have I done? So, based on the text, I guess he's experimented with himself, possibly. Or is a prisoner waking up saying, like, what have I done to deserve this? So she, like, says, yada, yada, yada. And I don't know why she would be turned to the side in that panel if they're addressing each other. It seems a little dismissive, but maybe that's the point. This guy he is speaking. She's a cyborg, then like us. Oh, it's a female. Okay. Oh, this is like Lady Deathstrike, probably. And then she's like ready for action. You kind of see like her hands can turn into weapons, or the one I guess already is. That's her right hand, which is, yeah, that hand. I wasn't sure if it was in frame or out of frame. And then, now, my lady, so do you. She's very androgynous looking in this, but it kind of makes it cool and sort of more creepy. Again, this main character, the side view and it's an interesting choice. This is a great panel right here. And I guess, I mean, based on looking at those guys, you could almost wonder if maybe they were kind of experimental victims too, or that these people are doing this all to themselves, and I'm assuming that's the girl. It's a little hard to tell. The helmet, I guess, is the trigger. And then, again, she's kind of distant. Like, I don't know if she's almost like, the positions and angles and stuff that he's drawing her at, she's coming across more like a narrator. Like, she's not engaged in these moments for whatever reason. It could be an aloofness. She's so powerful, she doesn't really need to address anyone sort of directly. But, because, I mean, this could just be a drawing thing. But even here, I don't really get the impression that they're standing like in proximity to each other, even though I know you could argue that, well, Rich, they're right next to each other. But her position and the other figure don't really sync up to me. This is a nice panel. This could be Arthur Adams, or it's like super, super busy. It's a nice shot. Really, really cool. And in a weird way, it's not overdone, meaning that if you look at the level of detail, although there's a lot of detail and there's stuff everywhere, he didn't render on top of rendering. He didn't feel the need to put like more detail on those windows. Like, let me grab a pointer and I can kind of, let's use this blue pencil, but like in here, like he didn't put more detail on these. Some people, when they get sort of this minutiae with a setup, start to render everything. Like there'd be like detail on the top of the sign. There'd be more detail on this, or rendering or cross-hatching here. That's when you really you're like almost adding like a fourth or fifth layer of detail. It can get overwhelming. And I think that this work is dense enough as it is. It doesn't need it. This is a nice little sequence. Really good. Like, I like the way that he turns the camera, and then you get this nice front view. This gets a little tiny bit hard to see. Someone's coming up behind her and maybe grabbing her. Let me see. It's sometimes hard to tell a little bit through the phone, so let me see something here. There's... I don't know. I guess these are just other people caught in the blizzard? I don't know. Like maybe people on the street? Oh, it's probably this group of people. Again, okay, yeah, I can see her now. So she's in the panel. And I think she's laying down, like she got knocked down. I guess that person eats it. He's shooting a gun. Right. Yeah, it's so detailed. Wounded wolf. Hello, I'm the wounded wolf. Really cool, Wolverine. Chris Claremont, Barry Windsor Smith. Oh, and Barry did the color. That probably helped too, honestly. I have this in color. I think I have a few copies of it actually, but it's a nice shot. Eye level in this is like right about here. We're about right here in the scene, so he's actually slightly above us. It's almost like we got knocked down and we're like laying on our belly, like sort of lifting up. We're about at that height. It's a little hard to tell, but that's pretty much what I'm seeing. Well, let's see. Yeah, it's a sometimes drawings, because what will happen is that there is like a sort of a line of like a horizon line, but if the drawings don't completely conform to it, it can create sort of optical illusions, because there's really sort of 2 or 3 horizon lines. I mean, it's one of the sort of liberties that you can take as a comic book artist a little bit within reason. If you have a good eye and you're able to like sort of make something look comfortable, you can actually kind of fudge perspective a little bit. A little bit. Because people get caught up in the detail and how nice something is drawn. They don't realize that it's, maybe a foot off from where it's really, wow, this stuff is dense. Holy cow. It's crazy how much detail there is. Is there a face in there? Let me look at it from... No, it's like the back of his arm. I can see like this is his elbow right here. His forearm goes like this, and then this is like his neck, and his head's kind of... It's sort of behind that. I think. It's hard to tell. That's a nice profile. Oh, man. Aaron Weisenfeld was pretty influenced by this stuff, and so in his Team 7 and Wolverine Deathblow and some of that stuff, you can definitely see. He probably had these comic books out when he was drawing some of the stuff. Help him figure out some drawing problems. Man, I was not expecting this. I'm hoping that in this book there's like a different story that Barry did. I'm going to flip through in a second. This is nice. So we've got Wolverine hunkered down. The car just starts to get lit up by, I don't know, is it bullets? Yeah, like they're shooting out of the car. Somehow he gets thrown out? Oh, what in the fuck? Alright, so let's see something here. So he's driving. Alright, so he's driving. These guys show up. He ducks down. The car's getting lit up. Oh, the girl gets thrown out. He screeches to a halt, and then she's getting thrown out. Sorry, it's a little hard to see. They're still lighting up the car, and then he leaps out. Unless he threw her out. He maybe threw her out. And was he driving naked? Well, let me see something. Oh, they're in the back seat. All right, sorry. I skipped ahead. I wasn't paying attention to the storytelling for a little bit. I wasn't expecting this stuff to be so sort of like snow, like bound in. I hadn't seen this story in a long, long time. I remember like 10 years, something. Yes, it's Lady Deathstrike. I think, right? Is that right? She's a really cool character, actually. I love the design of her. Oh man, it's so awesome. Yeah, when Barry got good, he got really, really good. Who do you guys think are some of his other influences at this point? Like when he transitioned, was he just doing it? Or was there like what were the catalyst artists? Could it have been Neil Adams? When he went from his Kirby style to this, what do you think he was bringing in? I'm trying to think of other artists that kind of drew like this back then. Oh, yeah, this is great. Yeah, I was thinking that this story was going to be not based on the cover, but when I had flipped through the book, there's this sort of African jungle story that he does with these like people dancing, and I thought that was what I had seen in here, so I wasn't really expecting this. And this actually, I'll tell you, the primer for him doing great fight scenes was definitely his Jack Kirby era, because Kirby and Buscema could do some really, really nice comic book fight scenes. The way that they would lay them out and the back and forth with them were fantastic. And this is great stuff to learn from with the sort of action reaction type thing. So we can take a look at this. So she's swinging her arms this way. He's rearing back, but he's getting punched. So she's done this motion. But then she comes back with the sweeping this way. So you've got this, and then this, he's rearing back, and then this is great, man. She comes through with this chop, and he's like, you almost pause here, but he's sending you interesting directions through this page, really, because it's like he's moving you this way, really, if you follow like how Wolvie's getting hit, and then it swings back, so it's jump, jump. Oh, right into him. This is almost not even a curved line. She's sending you like it's like if it was an arrow, the arrow is in perspective like this, and she's just coming right through him. And then the backhand, bam, and they send you right out of the page. And again, I always talk about generally the sweep is up. The only person that was consistently doing the sweep down that we had looked at was Bill Sienkiewicz had a tendency to, instead of sending you up to the next page, would pull it down. It's kind of funny, but it was definitely a trend that he used, and it's just how he sees it. And then again, you've got some really, really great. So, and do you see how this is easier to sort of pick apart, like the shots? Because it just reads more clear. A lot of those pages were really, really dense, and it was like, I mean, I was struggling to kind of come up with an analysis, I guess you'd say. It's like it was there. It was, not clear, but, that's interesting. Why? That's an interesting beat. What is going on? All right, so let's look at this really closely because I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. So so she's still got this going through his gut. And then he's hunched over, but what am I seeing here? Oh, I guess that's her arm. Yeah, it's her arm in him. It's a little hard to see. I almost like honestly thought it was like a flashback to like him maybe you know, at the lab or something, like before he got his powers, but I don't think that's the case. And then he swings at her and he's hitting her and it's going this way. So the loop now is like this. It goes like this, but then he brings you back around with this. So bam, he punches her. This is the motion that you're seeing, is this, and then he comes back with that. So it has the zigzaggy thing. Whack, 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 and then out. And then on this one, he stops the beat. You'll see at the bottom what it is. So this one, the motion is really coming across like this. Like it's even though you're seeing this, the force of action is this fist right here. Bam, he punches the shit out of her. And then this is really, really hard to read. But I mean, they're just like, man, this is so brutal. It's really, really good though. God damn. And then, you know, any kind of shot like this, circle, tight shot, you're going to pause on this. This panel in particular is really, really good. Man, that's a wild choice. And he really did it well. So good. What time are we at? 20 minutes. Yeah, shoot. Well, I guess we'll only be able to go through this one today, but this was challenging. It's got some really, really good drawings, but boy, I'll tell you what, there were some pages in them that were really, really hard to decipher. But man, great Wolverine shot. Then this is really, really cool. He's beat up. He kicked her ass though. And he's like, all right, peace out. Oh, okay, he's just wearing like shorts. It's a little hard to tell in color. It's like, because I was like, he's got bare feet, but I guess he's wearing like underwear. And then he sucks up his claws, and it's kind of weird. Like, how is her hand that close to him when he's walking away and she's already a few feet behind him? But anyway, we'll let him pass with that. But yeah, there's little things in here that are a little awkward, but again, it's drawn so well and the detail is so good, it doesn't really matter. And it's more of just a novelty to find like little things that maybe aren't as clear as they could be, or the size relationship. All he really needed to do with this is, it's like Wolverine's hand in the foreground, and then if this was back a little bit further, he could have even shown well, am I tripping and it's someone else's arm? It's got to be her hand. Yeah, it's just the size relationship is weird. It's like it needs to be further back and like her hand up, or smaller, but it's just too. It just, you know, that looks like it is like 6 inches away. In a weird way, it almost reads like her hand is in front, which, I mean, that's not even possible, but that almost feels like it's more in the foreground. Little stuff like that will stop readers from moving through your story, though. That is a fact. That if you're ever reading a comic book and you get stuck on a drawing, I mean, in theory, that's the comic book artist's job to sort of make that stuff clear and not happen. But I mean, it's not the crime of the century if it does. It is a drawing, so it's not a big deal. But all right, so yeah, give me recommendations for what makes this comic book great. And this was a tough one. I was challenged, I have to say. So all right, I'll talk to you all later. Have a great day. Bye.